Coming to you from a studio somewhere out there. It's Enough Already Radio with Fingers Malloy and Tracy L. Connors.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another Enough Already podcast. My name is Fingers Malloy. Thanks for tuning in. My co-host Tracy L. Connors is here. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, Fingers.
How's Tracy?
Fabulous. How are you?
I love humanity.
Oh, really?
For a number of reasons. So I'm driving down a state highway. It's a 2-lane road. 11:30 at night. I drive a Chevy Malibu. Not to brag. But I'm driving down the road going 60 miles an hour, and some ass face was driving in some, I'm guessing it was a pickup truck, but who the hell knows nowadays? Maybe they would have strapped these to a car with a bungee cord. There were 5 wood pallets in the middle of this state highway, and I ran over them.
In the Malibu.
In the Malibu. I have a hole in my oil pan the size of a canned ham. And one wheel is damaged, and these were custom wheels that the previous owner of the car put on them, and they don't make them anymore. And for the last 5 days now, I've been waiting for my insurance company to send an adjuster out to the dealership where my car is sitting. And it still hasn't happened.
You'd think by now they would just have remote capability to do that they could trust somebody at a dealership to be on the other end of like a Skype video call or a FaceTime.
Yeah.
And just walk around the car. So
when this whole thing went down, it was almost midnight. I'm in BFE in Indiana, and I'm right on the county line. So I call 911, and one county's 911 is getting into a sword fight with another county's 911 to figure out who has to come out and help me out. And meanwhile, I'm on the side of the road. There's oil all over the road underneath my car. Smoke coming from the car. And I'm outside of the car watching in horror as other vehicles are going 60 miles an hour toward this disaster.
Oh.
So car after car, boom, 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 boom. Then a semi goes over, and wood flies everywhere.
Did you get hit with shrapnel?
No, because I was going 60 miles an hour when it happened. So I was a good 150 yards down the road from the wood.
Okay. Did you just not see it?
No, I didn't see it. I mean, I'm going 60, and by the time I got close enough to see it, it was too late. I probably hit it going 40. I hit the brakes, but...
And you couldn't avoid it?
No, I was all over the road. They were everywhere. And the car rides low. Mm-hmm. So, other cars, like there was a car right behind me that hit it almost immediately, and it was a Chevy Trailblazer. So, I don't know if you're familiar with Chevy Trailblazer, but it's a huge SUV that rides, it's pretty high off the ground. So he pulled over, and he's, "Are you okay? Yeah, are you okay?" He looked at his car and goes, "Yeah, no damage. I'll see you later." Like, oh, great. Cops didn't come for, I would say, at least 20 minutes before I saw a police officer.
Oh, God.
There must have been at least 15 vehicles. One car, rather than slowing down, they swerved, and this dude almost went right into a ditch. So, but like I said, meanwhile, my car was towed to the dealership, and it's just been sitting there, and the dealership claims the insurance company hasn't gotten a hold of them about anything. The car's already, the oil pan's already been replaced. And they saved the oil pan for the adjuster. But now we got to figure out what we're going to do with the wheels, because I'm not just going to let them put one wheel on the car that doesn't match the other 3.
Right.
So that should be fun.
Yeah. I mean, did you talk to the dealership and see if they could source it from somewhere else?
No.
That's what I would do. I just had a friend that had something similar happen, and he was able to get the body shop where he went to. Mm-hmm. He actually found the rim or whatever it was on eBay or something, and then had them buy it, or he bought it and they paid him back.
I may have to do that because I
really
bought
like these rims.
No, but I don't want to deal with this kind of crap. I could probably get it this wheel used for about $75. Mm-hmm. And just be done with it instead of trying to get 4 new wheels on the thing. The car was lowered 2 inches by the previous owner. It was a family member.
Are these spinners?
No, they aren't spinners. But, you know, the person that did all this, he's really into cars. He's really into tinkering and stuff like that. And I actually kind of like the way it looks, even though you wouldn't think of doing all this to a Chevy Malibu. But it actually looks pretty cool. So I don't know what I'm going to do. But I cannot believe that anyone driving with that kind of wood in the back of their truck wouldn't notice that all that wood just flew out of the back of their truck.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, do you not own a rear view mirror?
Well, maybe they had pallets stacked so high they couldn't even see through the rear view mirror.
And probably tied it down with dental floss.
Yeah.
So, I hate humanity. Most people are scumbags. Mm-hmm. So, there's that. You going through anything right now?
Well, I could also throw in I hate humanity.
Okay.
For you. I had filled out all my tax forms and sent them off to my accountants, I believe sometime in early March, which is a new record for me. And so I didn't think anything of it that I didn't hear anything from them. It's like, oh, okay, what do they got to say to me? So then it occurred to me that maybe I should check and make sure they received it. I think it was sometime last week. So, you know, taxes were due on the 17th this year. Mm-hmm. And so I sent them a note probably on the 8th or something. And I said, hey, I just wanted to make sure you received my returns. I sent them in March. Yeah, no, we never got them. Okay. So I trusted the post office, which last I checked was a government entity.
Right.
To take care of my tax returns so that another government entity could take money from me. And they can't even do that properly.
Nope.
And so I started, I worried for a little bit. I said to my accountant, I'm like, well, what if somebody yanked them out of the mail and they filed them? Not that I was getting a return or anything. I actually owed the damn bastards money.
Right.
And he's like, well, that could have happened, but we won't know until you filed. I'm like, oh, wonderful. So, but it's got all my information. Mm-hmm. It's just lost. Just gone.
Wow.
Like, this is great. This is just wonderful.
Well, maybe you were the victim of, I've seen at least 2 stories recently of mail carriers who just stole a bunch of mail and rather than delivering it, just threw it in a pond.
Potentially. And it is interesting because I mailed it from work and when I found out about this, I told my coworkers and they said, oh, that's funny. Somebody else mailed something to like their dentist. And it never got there. So maybe you're right. Maybe we have one of those mail carriers just throwing stuff in the gutter.
There you go.
Ugh.
So fingers crossed, your tax returns were thrown in a pond. It's in a retention pond somewhere. And
nobody
destroyed.
filed them. Nobody filed them. So I got everything done in time and on time and coughed up the money I owe the feds.
Wow. My faith in humanity got restored a little bit last night. Mm-hmm. I was hanging out with my 14-year-old daughter, and we had some good daddy-daughter time, bonding, watching Netflix, and I came across a show about hoaxes.
Oh, yeah?
And, I can't remember the name of it, but hoaxes.
That's helpful.
That was in the title. And it was a documentary. The one we started watching was about War of the Worlds. Mm-hmm. And we were about 10 minutes in. And growing up, my parents had the War of the Worlds original radio broadcast on a record album.
Nice.
So I had heard it a few times, and I said, you really need to hear this from beginning to end. And so I found it on YouTube, and I thought, okay, she's going to last about 3 minutes before she gets bored to tears. Sat through the whole thing, riveted.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, just was totally into it. And I thought to myself, okay, maybe we're not at the point in society where everything has to be squirrel, 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 flashing pictures and stuff. She sat and listened to a radio broadcast.
Wow.
An hour-long radio broadcast. And it also shows just how much of a genius Orson Welles was. Mm-hmm. Have you ever listened to War of the Worlds?
No, but now I'm going to tonight. And if anybody's interested, your show that you're talking about is called History's Greatest Hoaxes.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I've never listened to it.
It's about an hour long, and it's so well done. You could definitely understand, even today, if you were to tune in to a radio station and hear what was going on, you can understand why people would be confused and think that it was real. Because they only make an announcement at the beginning of the show that it's a play. And then towards the end, they do. So in the middle there, it sounds the actors are great. The way that it's performed, it's genius. I mean, you get sucked in and you think it's all real. So it's on YouTube. It's easy to find. It's like 58 minutes long. I'm sure that's edited from the original broadcast. It was probably longer, but yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. I have faith that the kids out there can be entertained without having a phone in their face. There's still a place for radio, at least.
Oh, certainly.
So there's that. I guess we should turn to the news.
Yeah, why not?
I've been really bad. I'm finding myself not caring about anything anymore. I'm serious. Like everything that's going on with Comey and the book release and his media tour. He was on The View the other day, and I guess Meghan McCain gave it to him. I should rephrase that. I guess Meghan McCain was tough on him.
Uh-huh. Oh, imagine that.
Yeah. I hear that Jake Tapper did a good interview with him, and that's all out there on the internets, Tracy.
Uh-huh.
I just don't care to watch it. Just don't care anymore. None of this is going to matter.
Well,
nothing's going to come
out
out of all
that
this.
Something is going to happen to one of these guys.
Really?
Well, there was an article saying that the IG is now opening an investigation into Comey.
They all protect their own. It's the same reason why I don't think
the Inspector General didn't do Andrew McCabe any favors.
No, but I just don't see anybody seeing any jail time or going back to last night talking to my daughter, we started talking about politics and Chappaquiddick came up. Mm-hmm. Dude drove his car off a bridge, let a girl drown. And what did he get charged with at the end of the day? He pled guilty to leaving the scene of an accident. You and I are driving, and I'm drunk, and I pull off a bridge, and the car goes into the lake, and I just walk away and don't report anything for 12 hours and let you drown. I think I'm going to be charged with a little bit more than leaving the scene of an accident.
Yeah.
They all take care of themselves.
I know they do. So I don't have much faith that something will become of this and that anybody's going to jail or anything like that, but I do think it's helping to wake people the hell up of how corrupt these systems are.
Do you feel woke?
No, I've been woke. No, but it's a lot easier to convince other people.
Right.
Now, we're just like, look at this. I mean, this Comey dude, he's like a 15-year-old girl. I read his memos that have been released, and this is what he could potentially be in trouble for because there's classified information in them.
And he leaked them to his buddy, right? If I remember correctly.
Yes, he leaked a couple of them. And that was all because he wanted there to be a special prosecutor appointed because he was pissy that he got fired. So these the memos cover several different meetings he had with Trump. And I do think it's interesting that he reiterates in a couple meetings that he told Trump Trump was not under investigation, which is bullshit. Right? They opened the investigation for whatever reason they want us to believe in the summer of 2016, whether it's the dossier or Papadopoulos is running his drunken mouth to some Australian. They were well on to their investigation of the Trump campaign. So he's either playing a semantic game or he's just straight up lying. But one of the things the reason I say he's like a 15-year-old girl is because he makes note several times. And this is supposed to be notes that he's like keeping for himself about these meetings.
Yeah.
So it starts out with this. This is what he says on the first one in this order. What follows are notes I typed in the vehicle immediately upon exiting Trump Tower on January the 6th, 2017. Although I wrote them in less than 5 minutes after the meeting and have tried to use actual words spoken, including quoting directly in some places, I've not used quotation marks throughout because my purpose was to capture the substance of what was said, and I'm not sure of the proper classification. Here, so I've chosen secret. Please let me know. And he sends this to McCabe and a couple other people at FBI and DOJ, which I think was so strange. Like, these are just notes that I took. And mind you, he didn't take notes when he met with anybody else in any other administrations. This was strictly what he did with Trump.
Right.
And so he makes note at the end. The last sentence in this is he, which is Trump, said he was grateful for the conversation. And he said more nice things about me. So he's peppering every one of these things. Trump is just buttering him up with compliments. And he feels the need to note that for posterity. I just think it's so bizarre. Like, why would you do that? I just had a meeting with the president, and he told me how brilliant and wonderful I am, and I'm going to make a note of that because that's vital going forward that everybody knows. So he also told him on more than one occasion, this is Comey to Trump, that Trump could fire him at any time that he liked. Yet when Trump does fire him, he throws a hissy fit and sends these memos to his buddy to get them out. But I loved this. This is from their second meeting. I had dinner with the president in the green room at the White House last night at 6:30 p.m. We sat facing each other at a small oval table set for two and placed in the center of the room. Right? Dear Diary.
Is this fan fiction?
It's so ridiculous. And some of it's fun. It makes me laugh a little bit. Then he describes like there were two servers there and blah, blah, blah. But the conversation, which was pleasant at all times, was chaotic, with topics touched, left, then returned to later, making it very difficult to recount in a linear fashion. So normally I can recall the pieces of a conversation and the order of discussion with high confidence. Here, given the nature of it, there is a distinct possibility that while I have the substance right, the order was slightly different. It really was a conversation as jigsaw puzzle in a way, with pieces picked up, then discarded, then returned to. Oh my God. Spare me. Like, so if you're taking notes on a conversation, which I have to do when I do, sales calls and stuff like this, like I want notes so that other people could understand what the hell happened in case they ever need to look for something. And it's bullet point stuff, not this long like description of things and my thinking and all of this. And
well, every time you and I have hung out, I've taken notes and I've made note whenever we've gone and grabbed a bite to eat, what the table was like, where we were sitting in the room.
How pleasant the servers were.
Yes. No, this sounds to me like it should be in a book with Fabio on the cover. Absolutely.
Well, I'm kind of now interested to read his book, and just because I like reading books that are talked about a lot in the media, so I can understand what the book is really about, because they never do that. They give you little bits and pieces. Mm-hmm. But so later the conversation, Trump says that he asks Comey if he wants to stay on as director, and he hints that there are like 20 people that want his job. And Comey says, I responded by saying that he could fire me anytime he wished. But what I wanted to stay and do a job that I love, and I think I'm doing well. I explained that I had never expected to be back in government, but had found this job hugely rewarding and wanted to serve out my term. Now, this is my favorite part. I added that I was, quote, reliable in one way, but not in the way political people sometimes use the term. I explained that he could count on me to always tell him the truth. I said, and this is my favorite, I do not do sneaky things. I do not leak. Mm-hmm. I do not do weasel moves. Okay. Liar.
Wow.
What a liar. It's just, it's so stunning to me. And one of my other takeaways from all these is that Trump keeps bringing up McCabe mm-hmm. and asking him if McCabe, basically, like, does McCabe have a problem with me? Because Trump had hit McCabe pretty hard on the campaign trail about the contributions to his wife and all that kind of stuff, which was the reason that McCabe leaked and lied to kind of cover his ass to the Wall Street Journal, which was all revealed in that IG report we went over last week. But Comey, through this whole thing, vigorously defends McCabe. He's a solid dude. He's a great guy.
Right.
You can count on him. And this might be my other favorite part. This is still from their candlelit dinner for two in the green room. He says, at about this point, he asked me to compare A.G. Holder to A.G. Lynch. I said I thought A.G. Holder was smarter and more sophisticated and smoother than A.G. Lynch, who I added was a good person.
Ouch.
Right?
Ouch. Wow.
Yeah, she's a bit of a dunce. She's really nice,
but
though.
She means well.
Right. Oh, my God.
I wonder if he took these kind of notes whenever he had a beer summit with President Obama.
No, there have been a lot of reports that he had come out and, had admitted, I think it's in his book, that he only ever made these memos after meetings with Trump.
Wow.
Which is just bizarre.
Well, I mean,
right?
that's what he says. Doesn't mean it's true. No. But I have a feeling you're right.
But he doesn't do weasel things.
Right.
Excuse me. He doesn't make weasel moves.
Oh. He's not Weasley.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, God bless you for reading all that.
Well, it wasn't that much, actually, compared to the IG report. This was only 15 pages. But, of course, so the memos came out Friday, I guess. Mm-hmm. And, I watch MSNBC in the morning, so if I turn on the TV when I get home, it's on MSNBC, and then I'm greeted by Rachel Maddow, which is rather unpleasant. And she had Comey on, and she was salivating over some stupid line in here. So Trump was interested in the first meeting. Comey tells him about the dossier. Mm-hmm. And specifically, brings up the whole hookers and the golden shower crap. And Trump gets defensive. And it's like, that never happened. And, he asks them over the course of their meetings to please investigate that so they can prove that it's not true. He's like, I never even spent the night in Moscow when this is supposed to have happened. So I don't really understand why anybody thinks that I would have gone to a hotel and done this. And then he mentions offhandedly, this is Trump to Comey, that Putin told him that Russian hookers are the best looking hookers. This is what Rachel Maddow was all excited about. That when did they have a private conversation? We never knew that they had a private conversation. When did this conversation take place? Comey, of course, doesn't have any idea.
Right.
But, we'll hang our hats on that. And he's like, he could have just been, exaggerating and lying. Like, okay, who cares? Honestly. But there's one more little thing now looking at my notes that I thought was interesting. Because considering his continued defense of McCabe, and he also repeatedly tells the president that, he doesn't like leakers, and he tells Reince Priebus, too, because one of the notes is from a meeting with Priebus, that if he finds leakers, and this is Comey saying this is what he told Reince. I said that I was eager to find leakers and would like to nail one to the door as a message. And then he says, and this was, he had met with Priebus and then Trump came in, I believe is how this goes down. Mm-hmm. And then says the president wrapped up our conversation by returning to the issue of finding leakers. And I said something about the value of putting a head on a pike as a message. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then we're supposed to be appalled by this next sentence, I'm sure. He, Trump, replied by saying it might involve putting reporters in jail. They spend a couple days in jail, they make a new friend, and they're ready to talk. Comey says, I laughed as I walked out the door. Reince Priebus had opened. Like, but I'm sure, like I haven't watched a lot of the left media reporting on this, but I'm sure they would seize on that as well.
Oh,
Not that Comey said, like, let's nail somebody to the door and put head on a spike, but that Trump was like, let's send reporters to jail.
Listen, one of the things I do on Twitter, I'm a huge NFL fan. Mm-hmm. I've got a list of about 11 to 13 NFL beat writers that I follow on Twitter. And, they're all lefties.
Of course.
And someone retweeted about that, and the lefty sports reporter said, this is chilling.
Oh, God. He hasn't done anything to any of them, though, which is the funny thing.
Well, that's the thing. I wanted to tweet at this dude. Oh, you think that's chilling? You should follow Cheryl Atkinson on Twitter.
Yeah. Who still can't get her FBI file.
But hey, this is chilling, what he had to say. Now, this is the thing that cracks me up about lefties. They always have to take it a step too far. Mm-hmm. If you tell me that Donald Trump was in Moscow and hired some hookers, mm-hmm. Okay, I may believe that. But then you have to take it a step further and say, oh, he had the whole golden shower thing. Yes,
because Obama slept in that bed.
Yeah. So
Who does that?
Nobody. I mean, I think Trump is an egotistical maniac, but mm-hmm. even there's no way. Just like the whole, I heard one Stormy Daniels story where supposedly she was spanking him with
that's her only story. They only hooked up allegedly one time.
Do you honestly believe, if you would have said, hey, I think Donald Trump slept with Stormy Daniels, okay, I could probably go with that. I could believe that.
I believe that she could have hit him with a magazine.
By request?
No. She says she did it to him without his request.
I thought he requested this. I was like, come on.
No.
He's going to spend a minimal amount of time with her, do the deed, and then that's it.
See you later. Bye. Go get some McDonald's.
Yeah, right?
Right.
Not all this ridiculous stuff. I always had a fetish. I wanted to take a magazine. The way that
she told the story, if I remember this correctly, was that he was showing off that he was on all these magazine covers.
Oh, okay.
And she was kind of eye-rolling at him, so she took one of the magazines and rolled it up and spanked him with it, and that he liked it. Which is believable. I know.
During sex?
No. This is before anything happened.
Oh, okay. See, this is how much I'm paying attention to all this stuff.
Right.
I was like, okay, well, you're telling me in my head it went down like this. They're getting ready to have sex, and he said, "Hey, do me a favor, do me a salad, take this magazine with my picture on it, and smack me in the ass with it."
No, that's not how it went.
Okay.
At least according to Stormy Daniels.
Okay, just making sure.
According to her lawyer, that her case is the linchpin that's going to bring down the administration.
Oh, sure it is.
Even though 2 weeks ago he's out saying, I'm not a partisan at all. Well, this is when all of this coupled with the DNC lawsuit that was filed on Friday mm-hmm. against everybody but Trump himself, which I found interesting. They're the named defendant, or the named whatever the hell you call people in a civil suit. It's the Russian Federation, mm-hmm. General Staff of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation, or the GRU, which is their CIA, GRU operatives that use the pseudonym, remember Guccifer mm-hmm. 2.0, and then some other Russian people, WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, Donald Trump for President Incorporated, Donald Trump Jr., Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, Jared Kushner, George Papadopoulos, Richard Gates, and John Doe's 1 through 10, who you find out later are other unnamed GRU operatives. So they're suing the entire world, the DNC, which last time I checked, they're broke, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, unless things have happened in the last few months, because we're going to have this big blue wave in November, a blue wave in November. So,
yes, because they're spending all their campaign coffers on a frivolous lawsuit. But it just tells me, like, why did they file now? If Mueller's really getting somewhere, you don't do this, right? This is like the Simpson or the Browns and the Goldman didn't file civil suit until OJ got off.
Right.
Right? You don't do this.
Well, here's the thing, a couple of things. And I want to go back to the Stormy Daniels thing in a little bit as well, because I have a question for you.
Sure.
But before we do that, the thing that cracks me up about this lawsuit is I have not seen one story in any newspaper, one column, saying Democrats may be overplaying their hand.
Right.
Anytime anything happens to a Democrat and Republicans try to do anything, it's Republicans are overplaying their hand.
Yes.
Ever since this election, I have not seen one column in the media.
You'll never see that.
They're overplaying their hand. But now the Stormy Daniels thing, what do you think the end game is for her with this?
Oh.
I mean, okay, she's trying to get her 15 minutes, and she's gotten it. Mm-hmm. But what do you turn that into? I was shocked when I found out that she's only 39.
Oh, wow. She looks like hell.
Yeah. I mean, look, that's not the best industry to be in, obviously.
But you'd think you'd pay for some work.
Well, she's paid for some work.
Yeah. It's just poorly
It's
done.
all in the chest.
Yeah.
But how can you turn this into something? You think there's some side deal that down the road she's gonna some political operatives are gonna pay her off for going through all this? Okay, you're right. There's a book deal, but nowadays, what's a book deal gonna get you? I mean,
a couple million. I would imagine. Yeah.
Even now.
Oh yeah, I don't know how much Comey got for his book, but I bet you it's multi-millions. Let me Google that while you keep talking about her.
I just don't know what she could turn this into, other than okay, she's hoping to make enough money where she can walk away. I don't know if she's a current porn actress or not. If she's still, apparently she's still going to strip clubs.
Yeah, she's doing that, and I would imagine maybe she gets royalties off of her films. I don't know. Do people buy DVDs anymore? I don't know how that whole
buy porn anymore.
I have no idea. Well, it's like, how do the actors get paid?
I don't know. That's a question. I'm told you can get that sort of stuff for free on the internet.
Oh, you really?
That's what I'm told. So if you can get it for free, I mean, I don't get how they're making money. I mean, unless it's like are there Netflix for that sort of thing out there where people can go to these porn filmmakers and go to their website and spend $7 or $10 a month and get fresh porn? I don't know.
Somebody write in and tell us.
Yes, please do. Tweet Tracy L. Connors and let her know where she can get fresh porn. Please.
Yeah, that I have to pay for. According to an article I found in Town and Country magazine, James Comey.
Oh, this isn't about porn in Town and Country magazine?
No, this is about how much Comey got paid.
Oh, okay.
So he got $2 million for his book.
Wow.
Reportedly. And then he's getting the speaking events that he's doing, I believe you have to pay for tickets for. Which I'm guessing fingers, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe this is rude, but you've never gone to see somebody give a talk about their book. before.
So what are you
Unless
saying?
it was at an event.
What are you saying? Are you saying I'm intellectually lazy? Is that what you're saying?
No.
I've never
a bookworm.
I've not been to a book talk.
I guess that's what you call it. I don't know. I've been to
Book talk?
several of them. Never
Yeah.
paid. No, you go to like the Barnes and Noble and they show up and talk about their book.
Right.
And these are, but New York Times bestsellers that I've seen do this. But if you want to go see Comey, you got to cough up the cash, which
Wow.
is hilarious. I don't know if you saw what Laura Loomer did to him.
I saw that she crashed one of these parties, but I didn't get it. Again, I really haven't cared all that much,
Right.
so I didn't click on the video. Did they escort her out?
Oh, yeah.
What did she ask him?
I want to get the exact what she said to him because it was great. And that chick, she's
She's got
an
stones.
interesting. Yeah, she really does. She's an interesting person. But she, let me see if they have it in this. They have the Hill article. I mean, this went nuts viral, which I think is awesome. But she, of course, they don't have what she said. But it's so funny. You got to watch the video because the women sitting in front of her are just giving her death stares. Because she said, you're not an ethical leader. Like, you didn't disclose to Trump that all this stuff was going on. And she's like, and then they're coming to kick her out. She goes, you're going to get locked up. Oh, it's so funny. I love it.
But he's never going to get locked up.
No, probably not.
Wow.
But this is getting ugly with McCabe is now suing everybody for slander or some shit like this. And it's just, my take is that he crowdfunded, what would he figure out, $600,000?
Yeah.
And his lawyers were like, how do we get that money from that account into our pockets? So yeah, here we go. That was a Hill story. McCabe to sue the Trump administration for wrongful termination and libel. Or, excuse me, defamation and wrongful termination. Libel is written lies. Defamation is spoken lies. Yeah. So I love this. We're ready to file, his lawyers say. He's out of his mind.
Wow. And did you see, not to switch the subject, but did you see author Brad Thor is threatening to run against Trump in 2020?
No. Is this like the next coming of Evan McMullin or David French?
Yes. Interesting you mentioned Evan McMullin because there have been a couple pieces that have come out this week talking about how he may have broken campaign finance laws and he has stiffed a lot of his vendors.
And his staffers, right?
And staffers.
Which you and I are privy to some of that information that we can't share. But
Right. But apparently his campaign at one point was in debt at least over $500,000. Mm-hmm. And there's no way for him to pay that debt off. Are you going to go to a book talk with Evan McMullin?
Well, I think is he a paid contributor on one of the
I don't know
outlets?
well, look, he's on MSNBC and CNN a lot. You know, if you can get anyone who claims to be a conservative on TV to trash Donald Trump, they're going to do it. I don't know how you turn that into. If he wrote a book, who would buy it?
Yeah, I have no idea.
I mean, I think most of the people who supported him in 2016 now see him for what he is.
I don't know. He's got 447,000 followers on Twitter.
How many does Snooki have?
That's the test, right? Let's see. Here we go. 6.97 million.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, she's still in the lead. She should run against him.
From everything I've heard from people, Brad Thor seems to be a nice guy. Mm-hmm. Not the dirtbag that Evan McMullin appears to be. Mm-hmm. But no, he tweeted out, if no conservative steps up, I will absolutely challenge Donald Trump in 2020. America deserves better leadership. And they're going to look to Brad Thor, apparently.
That'll go over well. These people are delusional. I don't even know who's more. I can't tell who's more delusional: the anti-Trumper or the never-Trumpers or the Democrats.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, even when I agree with Democrats on something, they end up screwing it up to where I can't support it. Chuck Schumer is coming out for legalization of marijuana. Mm-hmm. And I don't have the story in front of me. And I don't even know if I want to look for it, because this whole thing is never going to happen. Because buried in this piece of legislation is, okay, we want, leave it up to the states, but we need to spend a whole shit ton of money on programs that should not be in the bill. Spending money on, I was something about women and minorities getting into hemp, I think, or something. It was like why can't you just have a 1-page bill saying
it should be 2 sentences.
Yeah.
Even if that, it just says marijuana is no longer considered a class 1?
Yeah, Schedule 1? Schedule 1.
Right.
That's it.
And the laws pertaining to it will be decided by the states respectively. Period. Thank you. No, they have to slide in some shit. So that way the Republicans won't vote for it because of that. But they can. I mean, it's just funny because on the federal level, I think I've told you about how the medical marijuana regime went down in Pennsylvania, which is such a disgusting. It's such a way that they milk money. And it's only benefiting the rich, because I can't remember now what the numbers were of how much money you had to put up. I think it was $10,000 to be considered for a license. Then if you made it through, you had to pay something like $200 and prove that you had $2 million in assets. So, yeah.
Now here's it's from Slate. I'm reading this piece. Okay. Paragraph, like 2 or 3 paragraphs down here. What's the deal with Chuck Schumer's pot bill? So, as he explained in the interview and on Twitter, the bill would allow states to set their own policies on marijuana without federal intervention beyond preventing the flow of marijuana to states that haven't legalized it yet. I'm like, geez, just legalize it. Yeah. But the bill would also fund research on THC and, in Schumer's words, inject real dollars into minority and women-owned businesses to ensure those disproportionately affected by marijuana criminalization can benefit from the new economy.
What?
So, why? Just make it legal.
Nope. You got favors to repay.
Got to fund research on THC.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, there is some truth to that, but that doesn't have to be put into this. Because it's a Schedule 1, they haven't been able to do a lot of medical testing with it.
But they're going to load this bill up with pork, and people are going to oppose it based on the pork. Mm-hmm. Just decriminalize the shit already.
Well, I mean, the Republicans could cut them off at the knees by doing just what you're saying. And just say, we just want a straight up or down vote on what we're going to do about this.
And he would probably vote no, because it doesn't include the funding.
Yeah. And then make a big deal. Oh, they're trying to screw women and minorities.
Right.
Like, no. We want to stop having people being arrested for this stuff. How about that?
Well, there has been talk that Republicans may inch that way. Like in Michigan, I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, and it's shitty that this is even coming up. It looks like it will be on the ballot this November to legalize recreational use of marijuana in the state of Michigan. And there's talk that Republicans who own the state legislature up there and the governor's mansion may go ahead of the ballot initiative and just decriminalize it, because they're worried that if that is on the ballot in November, it will increase voter turnout.
Yep. Can't have that.
It's ridiculous.
Well, those Republicans are always trying to suppress the vote.
So we may see that. I don't know. This is why nothing gets done.
But in this case, something seems to be getting done in Michigan.
Well, in this case, yeah, in Michigan, something will get done, and only because the voters are saying, "I've had enough. We'll do it ourselves."
Yeah.
But the idea that Senate Democrats may throw this bill out there, which
Well, I thought they were putting it out on Friday. Did they not?
yeah, they did. They did.
Oh, okay.
I'm reading this piece before he did it.
Okay.
It was written beforehand, but I mean, we'll see what happens. But I suspect that you're going to have Republicans. Well, some Republicans just don't want it legalized at all because, think of the children, Tracy. But they'll be like, okay, why does this bill cost $3 billion? I'm just throwing a number, just taking a number out of my ass. Why does it cost $3 billion? Oh, the Democrats loaded it with pork. I can't support that, so that means we can't have anything about legalization move forward. Because then Republicans will have an alternative bill, and, well, it doesn't fund all these things that Democrats want to fund, so then everything stalls.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Chuck Schumer. Yeah, I thought to I was like, holy shit, I agree with Chuck Schumer on something.
Mm-hmm.
And I get 3 paragraphs, and I'm like, oh, of course. So, God, I'm not even a pothead.
Well, it's just a silly thing. How much money is wasted enforcing these laws?
Yeah.
And not just enforcing them, but then going through the entire judiciary system with it to prosecute these people and then putting them in jail. So we fund them to live in a cage. Is that helping anybody?
Because they were smoking a plant.
Right. No, it's incredibly asinine. And all these things used to be legal.
Yeah.
Which is just, I don't think that people have any concept of that. It's never taught to us in school. I'll tell you that much. They're like, you could go into a pharmacy and get heroin and cocaine and I don't know about marijuana. But yeah. And none of the stuff like, oh, we're going to have this huge problem because everybody's going to be running around messed up all the time. Well, meanwhile, I don't even know what the stats are anymore, but I think it's more than half the country is on some kind of a psychiatric drug.
Right.
Which, what the hell's the difference? And how many people are addicted to some kind of an opioid that they're getting from their friendly neighborhood pharmacist, the government-approved drug dealer?
I shouldn't need to ask Chuck Schumer's approval to be able to grow a plant.
No. No, that's how far away we've gotten from the concept of individual liberty. I need to go get a permission slip from Chuck Schumer in order to do this. Because I could hurt myself, and he really cares about me and doesn't want me to hurt myself. I mean,
Right?
that's the logic behind it, right? Oh, these guys care so much about you.
Yeah.
They want to protect you from yourself because you're such an idiot that if not for them, you wouldn't be able to, you would die crossing the street tomorrow.
Well, there needs to be a law about safely crossing the street. I mean,
Sure.
We've joked about that, but I a few years ago I was doing some research on a book I was thinking about writing because I know everyone's clamoring for a book written by Fingers Malloy.
How much would you charge for your book?
It would be free. Free. I don't know why anybody wants to listen to me to begin with. That's why we don't charge for this podcast. But a couple of people in New York City within 2 weeks of each other got hit and killed crossing the street while they were jogging and had earbuds in their ears. So there was a New York City, I don't know if they're councilman or alderman, I don't know. But there were New York City politicians in city government that were proposing banning earbuds while walking on city streets because a couple of people got hit by a car.
And it was because of the earbuds, not because they were morons. It didn't look both ways.
Right. Well, on top of it, too, I mean, walking in Manhattan is just extremely dangerous. Nobody has any respect for human life, for vehicle. I can't tell you how many times I've been on a street corner in New York City walking, across the street, I'd see people just dart out in front of a Cadillac, an Escalade going like 25, 30 miles an hour and just expecting them to stop.
Uh-huh. Well, it's worse on, I don't know if New York has this now, but it's worse on the West Coast. And it's kind of crept to the East Coast where pedestrians always have the right of way.
Right.
So you have to be on constant guard that somebody could do that. Just walk right into the street willy-nilly.
Jesus.
And they will ticket you. That's the thing. Like, you will get a jaywalking ticket. I think I might have told the story before, but I was working on a reality show, and the majority of the crew was from LA, but we were shooting in Philly. And this was before, I think they've started to, because of course it's a moneymaker, give people jaywalking tickets for doing this. But if you're at the corner where there's a crosswalk but you're against the light and you look and there's no traffic coming, you can cross the street in Philadelphia. It's okay. In California, you get a ticket for that. So that we're standing there and I look both ways. There's nobody coming. I start walking across the street. All these California kids start freaking out.
Like you're doing a line of coke in public.
Right. Like, oh my God, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? There's no cars coming. We're not doing anything wrong, but jaywalking tickets. I'm like, no, it's not how we do it here. East Coast, we keep it moving. Like, don't be ridiculous. They just couldn't get over it. But
Wow.
being out in California and driving around LA, you constantly want your foot like hovering above the brake in case somebody just darts out into the middle of the street.
Well, see, now I had a flashback. You just made a scene in Lethal Weapon 2 make a whole bunch of sense.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they Martin and Riggs, whatever the name of the cops were, Danny Glover and Mel Gibson. Are you allowed to mention Mel Gibson's name in public anymore?
I believe so. I think he's been rehabilitated.
Oh, has he? Okay.
I think he's going to run in 2020. True conservatism on the ballot.
Well, there was a scene in the movie where they were put on patrol. They had their dress blues on, or the regular uniforms, not dress blues, but they had their regular uniforms and they were street cops, and they were going to write a ticket for a guy for jaywalking. Mel Gibson was. I was like, oh come on, that never happens. And they're they're LAPD, so apparently that's a thing.
Well, just
I had
wait.
no idea.
If the self-driving cars ever take over, that's going to be their one last thing that they can do. They'll ticket you for public urination. Tickets will go through the roof.
Damn it.
Jaywalking.
Now what am I going to do on a Saturday night?
And I don't know if they passed it, but New York was floating the idea that you couldn't smoke on the sidewalks while you're walking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be stupid crap like that they'll come up with, just steal more of your money. And to have more police-civilian interactions, which always end very well.
What did you make of that Starbucks thing in Philly?
I never bothered to watch the video because I know it starts after the whole incident began. It doesn't capture it from beginning to end. But, I mean, I think it's silliness, and I think it's actually it's backfiring, and it's more of the left eating its own, which, I delight in. And like Starbucks, you remember they did that silly race together thing a couple years ago?
Yeah.
That blew up in their face and they shut it down. And now they're going to shut down all the damn stores.
For
to
a day.
Train everybody
Yeah.
about unconscious bias. Like, give me a break. That stuff has been so debunked. It's so silly. But I did see, I guess it was on the Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, now he's moved up in the world from his podcast to being syndicated on AM radio across the country. And he was asking questions about it. Like, does this, who is the manager of this Starbucks? Like, does anybody know anything about her? Does anybody ever go to that Starbucks? Do they have cameras and all this? And he's gotten a bunch of people to send him in information. And he had a caller into a show that said, I go to that Starbucks all the time. And the chick in question is like this super social justice warrior. So I doubt that she was doing anything wrong, and she wasn't profiling them. And I did see kind of a video of the guys, and they looked like they were wearing sweats. And their whole deal was they were there for a business meeting about a real estate, venture. It's like, okay, you're there for a meeting, and you won't buy coffee. You won't cough up a couple bucks, but you're in there to spend some big cash. I'm like, maybe they were there to buy timeshare. That's all I can think about, because I hear these timeshare commercials all the time, but it's always like, are you trying to get rid of your timeshare? I'm like, how many people have been suckered into this? There's this whole industry of getting people out of their timeshare.
Right.
But
No, it's funny. I've done business in a Starbucks before. I refinanced my house last year, and I went. I'm serious.
Did you show up wearing a sweatsuit?
I did not. But I thought the least I could do when I got to Starbucks and I was using their table, because I was meeting a notary republic who was in charge of going through the paperwork with me and me signing stuff. I thought the least I could do was buy a cup of coffee while I was there, being I was using Starbucks table.
And they're pretty strict about that. You can't go to the bathroom unless you're buying something.
Right.
Which makes sense. And I don't know, here's a tip for anybody. If you're in a city and you need to use a restroom, go into a hotel.
Yep.
That's the best trick.
I always do that.
They have no idea who their clientele are, but I don't know if you saw Twitter sensation Hotep Jesus.
No.
Are you familiar with him?
No.
Well, the Hoteps are an interesting crew a lot of them were, I think most of them were pro-Trump. Mm-hmm. And they're very like, let's get rid of this BS victim mentality garbage and that kind of stuff. So he, I can't remember what state I think he lives in DC actually, because he was on Laura Ingram's show the other night after he did this. But he went to a Starbucks that looked like it was in a mall or something. And he sets up this video outside being like, I'm going to go in there and get a free coffee out of this. So he goes in and there's some, young white barista there, probably college age girl. And he walks up to the counter and he's like, I heard Starbucks is racist. I want a free coffee. I want my Starbucks reparations. And like, I'm kind of condensing it a little bit, but that's the gist. And she's like, oh my God, I heard about that. Like, it's so awful. No problem. I'll give you a coffee. So you get a free coffee out of it. Oh, it's hilarious. And he's just like, look, these fools, they've just opened the door to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go troll them and get free shit. And it's like, yeah, why not? These people feel so guilty. He probably could have been like, I want to be the manager of this store now. And they would have contemplated it.
Well, listen, I've gone in more than one gas station. I travel a lot to use the restroom. And I always feel guilty. Whenever I go into a gas station, I'll buy something. Mm-hmm. If I have to use the restroom, if it's a pop or a bottle of water or something, I feel guilty about just going in. And it's not a rest area. It's a place of business. But there have been times when I've walked in and they say, are you going to buy something to use the restroom? Back there are bathrooms at rest areas where you still need a key to get in. Yeah. And to get the key, you got to buy something. Mm-hmm. This is not a new concept. No.
And it's not something that's, okay, we give the white people the code. Starbucks couldn't be more of a leftist place.
Right.
From the top down. The fact that they're going to close their damn stores and that Eric Holder is the one that's in charge of this. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. All these people have gotten these kind of this is what I think Jesse Jackson did this crap in the 80s where he would attack big corporations like Pepsi and Coca-Cola for being racist or some such garbage. And then they would give him a seat on the board or something. It's all this shakedown seats.
Yeah, I get the kids a couple bottling plants or something.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he gets a paid advisorship. Whatever. But that's the kind of game that a bunch of the people from the Obama administration have played. They're diversity advisors or some crap. So he's going to make a chunk of change off of this and come up with, I'm sure there already exists these handbooks of how to train everybody. But it's just,
I think they would have gone after Chick-fil-A.
Right. Well,
the Starbucks.
But the Chick-fil-A won't take it. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Starbucks will take it. They'll be like, yes, sure, please come tell us how we're racist. Because, honestly, how does this unconscious bias training go? How do you all feel about people of different races? Oh, we feel fine. That's, you're wrong. We're going to teach you how you secretly hate everybody who doesn't look like you. and then how to combat that, which is just, this is not going to end well for them. Just like the Race Together
Okay,
stuff.
we have Scam Pack we haven't done anything with.
Mm-hmm.
We need to come up with some sort of business that retrains these people. I would love to be the guy doing racial sensitivity training for the folks at Starbucks.
I'm sorry, but you're the wrong color.
Oh, you don't think there's a possibility that it's going to be white liberals in charge of this training?
Maybe. They'll have to be a handful of them. I mean, they're shutting down every single store. So you're talking about thousands of stores.
Their
And I don't know,
coffee isn't
maybe-
even all that good.
No, I never understood it. And it's such, I don't know. There's something about it. It's such snobbery that turns me off.
I mean, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not blown away by Starbucks coffee.
Mm-mm.
I mean, the only reason why I go to Starbucks is because they're everywhere. I mean, if it were Dunkin' Donuts right next door, I'd go to a Dunkin' Donuts to get my coffee. But
Heck yeah.
Plus, part of me, I put a lot of garbage in my coffee anyway, so it really doesn't matter. You put enough cream and sugar in it, and
You can get it from the gas station and be fine.
Right. So, well, we're an hour in, Tracy.
All right.
So why don't we call it a day?
Let's do that.
Remember, you can always find the Enough Already podcast on Stitcher, SoundCloud, TuneIn, iTunes, and now YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
What an age we live in.
I know, and maybe someday we'll get technologically advanced enough that we can actually do live stream YouTube broadcasts.
See, why would as long as if we do that, it's just the video of you.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, I don't understand. Like, I've gone over this for years with guys that want to do video podcasts. I don't understand why anyone would want to sit in front of their computer and see a middle-aged, fat, graying man in HD on their computer. I understand. The guys want to see you. They dig chicks, but who's gonna want to see a middle-aged, graying, fat dude?
All right. Everybody has to hit fingers on Twitter now. That's at, what are you, Fingers T Malloy on
No,
Twitter?
I'm just at Fingers Malloy.
At Fingers Malloy. Tell him you want to see his face. Go on, we can track your diet progress easier.
Oh, shit. Yeah. God, I need to lose weight.
That might just be the motivation you need.
I got lots of trips coming up this summer and fall. And there'll be a lot of walking, and I don't want to be... I don't want to have a cane at 46.
You can get one of those hurricanes. They're pretty cool.
What's the little Amigo?
I don't know. What's that?
When you go into a Walmart and the fat people get on them and they roll around in them.
Is it a rascal?
Rascal.
Yeah, I know. I was at Walmart the other day and I got clipped by some guy that weighed like 400 pounds in one of those. And I was like, the reason you weigh 400 pounds is because you're willing to get into a motorized cart to ride around the grocery store and pick up more food.
Yeah, I'm 46 and I'm almost positive I have gout.
Oh God.
How the hell does that happen? 46. I'm not 80. Next thing you know, I'm gonna get shingles.
Then come the bed sores.
Yeah. So anyway, we're on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
And if you want to find us, you can go to enoughalready.com. I added the link to YouTube up in the header in the footer with the little YouTube icon.
Do we have .com? I thought it was .us.
.us.
Let's see.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm telling lies.
All right, so there you have it. We'll be back maybe next week.
Potentially, yeah.
Wow. We're becoming regular again.
I know.
We'll be back next week with an all-new Enough Already.